best side hustle 2021 that anyone can do, and it's not donating your kidney. What is up, you guys? My name is Ben, and online my wife and I go by the Shoe Hunters. In this channel we talk everything reselling, investing, and making money through one of our favorite ways, used shoe reselling. For the last couple of years, hyped sneaker reselling has gained a ton of popularity, and rightfully so. You can make a ton of money, and it's a really fun way to do so. However, when we got into it and we thought about doing the new hype sneaker reselling, we found the more niche market of used shoes. And we're not just talking hype sneakers, we're talking sandals, boots, any shoes really, you name it. And if you're one of those people who really only buys new shoes, I get it, you can be a little bit maybe grossed out by the thought of people buying used shoes. They're very gently used, but they do sell really well. And if you think about it, in the current market right now, people are buying used shoes more than ever because with COVID and everything and whatnot, people want to buy cheaper, or they can afford maybe a little bit less, but they don't want to sacrifice on the quality. So they're buying just slightly used goods, and we live in a society where we really have an abundance of goods. So this used shoe market is really growing, and from February 2021 until now, my wife and I have sold we've sold over 500 pairs of shoes and made about $11,000 net profit. And then this month we're scheduled to make or forecasted to make about $4,000, and that's with us working, or me working part-time, and then my wife working full-time on it while I have my other job. And so this really is a true side hustle, but there's really 6 main components when you break it down. You've got your sourcing, so acquiring the goods, your cleaning of the shoes, your prepping of the shoes before you take pictures of them, and then you have your listing of the shoes on whatever platform you're going to be selling them on, and then the shipping. So I'll go over each one of these topics in more depth in another video, in other videos. But for now, just to explain the concept and how this works to maybe excite you guys about this opportunity, I will just briefly describe each one of them. So the first and most challenging thing when starting to sell used or resell used shoes is the sourcing, or the acquiring of these shoes to sell. The beautiful thing is you don't need to spend countless hours competing against other people trying to buy the newest bot to sell hype sneakers. You can really start with wherever you're at right now. It's very actionable. So the suppliers that we currently use are primarily thrift stores, Facebook Marketplace, and then sometimes your mom and pop consignment resale shops. And Goodwill is going to be our main supplier, actually. Although they have been really increasing their prices, and sometimes it's just ridiculous what they're pricing things at, it's still our main supplier because of the nature of Goodwill. So most people are donating to Goodwill, and because they're getting so many shoes but have a limited area to carry those shoes, they need to cycle those shoes out. They need to sell them off to make room for that new inventory. And to do so, they implement different markdown strategies. So depending on what city you live in, it'll differ. But for any kind of bigger city, what they do is they have a 2-tier kind of markdown strategy. So it's 30%. So each shoe has a color, and then per week they will on Sundays they will mark down those shoes. So the first markdown is 30%. And the second markdown is 50%. So we capitalize on this by going the first thing in the morning on those markdown days. So for me, it's on Sundays, meaning we go every Sunday and create our sourcing routes right when they open. That way you're not competing against other people, other local buyers, and you can get the first opportunity to buy these shoes at the lowest cost. So Goodwill is really mainly our supplier, and it's really just because they're receiving so many shoes that they need to sell them off. Unlike, you know, your other goods that sometimes Goodwill has that can be just crazy, because they can just let them sit there because they're not getting quite as many of those goods. So now that we've kind of established why Goodwill and thrift stores are the main way you should be going about acquiring the shoes, let's talk about the meat and bones of actually picking these shoes. There's a lot of, you know, trash shoes at Goodwill. You don't want to do what I did in the intro and just put all the shoes in your cart. That was a joke. And you don't want to be that person who is only picking out the Air Maxes or the Jordans and saying there's no shoes that you can sell. So first you want to pick shoes that you can look up the comps of. So what I mean by this, and each platform that you sell on has a different kind of way to do this, but my favorite one and the main platform that we sell on is going to be eBay. eBay has a really good system to search what items have been selling for to know the current market value. So let me show you how to do that real quick, and then we'll jump back into the rest of the video. So in order to look up the sold comps of the shoe for anyone who is not familiar, what you're going to go ahead and do for any Nike and Adidas shoe, it makes it a little easier. I'll show you how to do the other ones too. But for Nike and Adidas, it's going to be right where that size tag is. So you'll see the size right there, but right below it, and I don't know if you can see it, is going to be the ART number on Adidas. So for the ART number, what you're going to do, you're going to pull it up on the eBay app. You're going to type in Adidas and then whatever that ART number was. So for this guy, it is CQ 3170, and you're going to go ahead and click search. That's going to go ahead and pull up all of the current listings, both new and pre-owned or used, that are currently listed. So what we're going to go ahead and do is click this filter button on the upper right hand corner and scroll down, click show more, keep scrolling down until you click the show or sold items. You're going to filter that and then click show results. This will show what this current shoe or what shoes have sold of this certain shoe in the last 90 days. So you can kind of see exactly what size and exactly what they've been selling for. Again, for Adidas, it's going to be that ART number. For Nike, it'll be the string of digits. Right below it, it'll be like, I think, 6 digits dash 3 digits. And then for any other shoe, just go ahead and look up as close you can the model number. So for most athletic shoes, it's going to be like a name of the actual shoe. Look on the shoe itself and you should be able to find it. Again, just go ahead and search by sold items and then scroll through to find the current market value of the shoe. Alright, once you have a general idea of what it's going to sell for, go ahead and pull up the calculator and we'll do a little bit of math just to see what kind of profit we'll make per pair of these shoes. So for example, if the average shoe, so this one here sold for 100, if we were to do the math on this one for 100, we put 100 minus the percentage that eBay takes. For general math, you can do either 13 or 15%, so 100 times 0.87 for the 13% that eBay takes, which is 87, minus $10 average for shipping, and then the $10 or $8 you paid for it. So that pulls up the $67 profit for that single pair of shoes if we were to sell it for that $100. Again, it's going to vary a little bit depending on the condition of the shoe, but that is how you calculate the profit for the shoe. Alright, so now that we know how to look up the sold comps of a certain shoe, first we're going to want to select the shoe to see the value of, to look it up. And by now you might be thinking, there are so many shoes, where do I even start? You can eliminate a lot of shoes that you shouldn't be spending time on by simply kind of giving them a feel test. So if they are going to be super light, you know, have no brand, be one of those cheaper mall brands, obviously you can eliminate that. When you start off, you can just go through more of the name brand shoes. So, you know, athletic shoes like Hoka, Brooks, Asics, Nike, obviously, Asolo, Vask, kind of those bigger name brands. And that way, as you go on, you can build more shoes into your kind of knowledge pool. But for now, you're sticking with those just to save yourself time. And then let's look through those. And once you have about 4 or 5 in your cart, this first trip that you're going on, you're going to want to pick the very best pair that you have. So once we've narrowed it down to that very best pair, we're going to want to look through not only the comps of what they're selling for, but the sell-through rate. So let me show you real quick how to calculate the sell-through rate.
Alright, so using that same Adidas shoe as an example to calculate sell-through rate, let's go ahead and do that by clicking the filter button on the upper right hand corner and making sure that we have used selected. So right now you can see that there are 2 used Adidas Solar Boosts listed. And then if we go over and sort it again by sold, it'll show that there are, I don't know if you can see it, 4 results. So when you search it by sold there, it is pulling up items that have sold from the last 90 days. So if the solds and the listings were a 1-to-1 ratio, that would give it about a 90-day sell-through rate. So a 1-to-1 is 90 days for the shoe to sell. If it's about half that, you just divide it by 2 and so on, or a 3. So if there was 3 times more in the solds than there are listed, that's when you know it should sell in about a month, and you can kind of extrapolate from there in terms of the math. But that is generally how you calculate sell-through rate. You can get even more specific if you want and type in the exact size of that shoe if you want to be very certain of the demand of a certain shoe size. But in general, you can do it without having to look up the certain size to get a general idea of how long it'll take to sell.
So now that we know how to do calculate the sell-through rate, we're going to take in mind the sell-through rate and the profit that you can make of that pair. And out of those 4 or 5 shoes that you have in your cart right now, pick the very best pair, maybe the pair that's going to sell the fastest. It really shouldn't take too long to sell if it has a higher sell-through rate, maybe a week or 2. And that way you can get a feel for just the general process, and then from there you can scale it and implement kind of systems to grow the business. So generally you're going to want to buy shoes from $5 to $10. The closer to $5 obviously that you are, the more profit you'll make. However, we buy primarily shoes, our average buy cost per shoe is about $8 to $9. And that's factoring in, you know, maybe a more expensive pair of boots that's $15, $16, but with your $5 pairs of shoes, that kind of averages out to about those $8 or $9. So now that we've really picked the number 1 shoe that you want to go for, you know, obviously go home or pay for it, go home. You're going to want to clean it up, and I'll do another video of the best way to clean the shoes. Optimally, it's not going to be super dirty. And then you're going to factory lace it. You can look up videos of how to do factory lacing, or I can show you later. And then take pictures in the plainest background you can. Again, I will go into specifics of photography in another video, but we're going to want to just make a nice white background. If you have a piece of cardstock, you can put it down on that against a white wall, something really plain. And then we're going to want to list it on whatever platform that interests you. You know, eBay, Mercari, Poshmark, one of those. Wait for it to sell. Shouldn't take too long. Once it sells, you ship it out to the buyer, and you are good from there. So that's really all there is to the process. It's pretty simple. If you guys are thinking, oh, I can't do this, you know, I have this reason, please message me and I will tell you why you are wrong and how you can get started. And luckily, with it being a smaller channel right now, I'll have my email down below. Feel free to message me to ask any questions you guys might have. But we will see you guys around next week for a more in-depth video.